Boxing is a sport of clarity in the ring. A punch lands, a round ends, and a winner is declared. But outside the ropes, the championship system can feel anything but clear. Today, a single division can have multiple fighters all claiming to be a world champion at the same time, and fans are left asking, who is really on top? Take the lightweight division. Gervonta Tank Davis holds the WBA regular title, while Devin Haney is the WBA super champion in the same division. Both are called world champions, and yet only one can truly be at the pinnacle. The result is confusion, debate, and endless arguments online. It's not just the WBA. In 2020, Teofimo Lopez was recognized as the WBC franchise lightweight champion after beating Vasily Lomachenko, while Devin Haney held the standard WBC belt. Two champions in the same division. Two belts, two names, one crown of legitimacy. An impossible question for fans. Who is the real champion? Add to that ceremonial belts like the WBC Mayan or Huical, created for single high-profile events, and suddenly a single fight night can feature 3 or 4 belts, each telling a different story, each claiming supremacy. Even historically, the sport has struggled to define itself. Floyd Mayweather defended multiple WBC belts across divisions. Terence Crawford unified WBO titles to claim undisputed status, and Canelo Alvarez carried WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO straps in his super middleweight reign. Each belt carries its own prestige, history, and controversy, but when combined, the system often seems chaotic. Commentators argue on air, and even fighters sometimes face career-defining choices: which belt to chase, which to defend, and which to risk losing in a mandatory fight. This confusion isn't accidental. It's part of the sport's DNA. Boxing today exists in what is called the four-belt era, a system established around 2004 when all 4 major sanctioning bodies, the WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO, were recognized globally. But the path here has been long and winding. Before 2004, the sport had 2- and 3-belt eras, with the WBO often ignored in the United States and Europe. Promoters, networks, and fans debated legitimacy for years, until fighters like Oscar de la Hoya, Joe Calzaghe, and Asim Hamed forced the WBO into the spotlight. So, before we dive into every major belt, the controversies, and the stories behind them, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss a single breakdown. The WBA, the oldest of the 4 major titles, carries a history as long as boxing itself. Founded in 1921 as the National Boxing Association in the United States, created to bring order to a sport fractured by competing state commissions and rival authorities. It rebranded globally in 1962. Its red strap and large gold centerpiece have been carried by legends like Joe Louis, Roberto Duran, and Vladimir Klitschko. In 2018, Manny Pacquiao added to that legacy when he won the WBA welterweight title at age 40, proving the belt's enduring relevance. Yet, the WBA has long been criticized for its confusing structure. A super champion, a regular champion, and sometimes an interim champion can exist in a single division at the same time. The super champion is typically a unified or long-reigning title holder, while the regular champion may never have faced the super champion. Inactive fighters can lead to interim champions being crowned. The result is a single weight class with up to 3 men recognized as world champions, leaving fans and pundits debating who truly sits at the top. The WBC is perhaps the most iconic belt in boxing, with its green strap and gold centerpiece adorned by flags from member nations. Founded in 1963 in Mexico City, the WBC was born from a gathering of delegates from 11 countries who sought to unify a sport fractured by competing authorities and commissions. The organization quickly set out to standardize rules, improve safety, and elevate boxing on a global stage. Over the decades, it grew to include 161 member nations and became a symbol of international prestige. It quickly gained prestige as champions like Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and Manny Pacquiao carried it at key moments in their careers. Floyd Mayweather made the WBC central to his identity, defending it across lightweight, welterweight, and super welterweight divisions while building his perfect 50-0 record. The WBC also pioneered safety reforms in boxing, most notably shortening championship fights from 15 rounds to 12 after the tragic death of Duk Koo Kim. It introduced mandatory challenger rules to prevent champions from avoiding top contenders. Yet even this revered organization is not free from controversy. The franchise title, introduced in 2019, allows elite fighters to hold a champion label without facing mandatory challengers. Teofimo Lopez, recognized as WBC franchise lightweight champion, existed alongside Devin Haney, the standard champion. The WBC also issues ceremonial belts like the Mayan, Hoya, and special fight belts, further complicating the hierarchy and creating debates over who is truly champion. The IBF, established in 1983, was born out of a split from the WBA when U.S. Boxing Association President Bobby Lee Sr. and his supporters disagreed with the WBA's leadership and decided to form a new organization. It quickly gained credibility by recognizing established champions like Larry Holmes and Marvin Hagler. Today, it is known for its strict enforcement of mandatory defenses. Champions must face the top-ranked challenger within a set time frame, and refusal often results in being stripped, even if the fighter is otherwise undisputed. Lennox Lewis lost his IBF heavyweight title in 2002 for declining a mandatory fight, and Tyson Fury lost the belt after defeating Vladimir Klitschko because he agreed to a rematch instead of facing the mandatory challenger. The IBF's rigidity ensures consistency, but it can disrupt major matchups, leaving fans frustrated. The WBO, founded in 1988, was born out of a split from the WBA when a group of Puerto Rican and Dominican promoters disagreed with the WBA's leadership and rules, deciding to create their own organization to crown champions fairly and independently. Initially dismissed by promoters and broadcasters in the U.S., the WBO gradually gained legitimacy as stars like Chris Eubank, Nassim Hamed, and Vladimir Klitschko held its titles. Terence Crawford showcased the belt's modern importance, becoming undisputed at junior welterweight and later at welterweight after unifying with the WBO, proving the organization had moved from a peripheral title to a central piece of boxing prestige. Beyond sanctioning bodies, the concept of the Lineal Championship, the man who beat the man, offers clarity in a landscape filled with political and ceremonial belts. Unlike sanctioning body titles, the Lineal Championship tracks a single true champion, passing from fighter to fighter through victory in the ring. Vladimir Klitschko held multiple belts while being lineal heavyweight champion, and when Tyson Fury defeated him in 2015, he inherited the lineage, even after being stripped of sanctioning body titles for avoiding an IBF mandatory. Fury's struggles outside the ring and long absence created debate over whether the lineage was broken, but his eventual victories over Deontay Wilder restored his claim, demonstrating that true recognition can exist beyond bureaucratic control. An undisputed champion is a fighter who holds all four major belts in a single division, leaving no doubt as to who reigns supreme. Terence Crawford achieved this at welterweight, Alexander Usyk at cruiserweight, Canelo Alvarez at super middleweight, and Naoya Inoue at bantamweight. These reigns are rare because each champion inherits four separate mandatory obligations. Administrative timelines often force stripping before in-ring defeat, making the status both fragile and highly coveted. Interim titles exist to maintain activity in divisions when champions cannot defend their belts. David Benavidez held the WBC interim super middleweight title while awaiting a fight against Canelo Alvarez. Jaron Boots Ennis defended the IBF interim welterweight belt before being promoted when Crawford vacated the division. Interim belts offer rising contenders a path to eventual recognition, but can also trap them in limbo if the full champion delays action. Franchise and ceremonial belts, meanwhile, create spectacle and debate. WBC special titles like the Mayan, Hoya, and event-specific belts for Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor or Jake Paul fights turn fight nights into showcases, but they often leave fans questioning hierarchy. National titles, like the British Lonsdale belt, have long served as stepping stones for fighters like Ricky Hatton and Tyson Fury. They provide domestic recognition and help launch careers on the global stage. The Ring Magazine belt, awarded independently based on merit and results, offers clarity amidst the politics. Legends like Sugar Ray Robinson, Roberto Duran, Manny Pacquiao, and Vladimir Klitschko have carried it alongside world titles, providing a symbol of true championship outside the sanctioning body system. In modern boxing, a championship belt is far more than metal and leather. It embodies history, prestige, politics, and controversy. Super champions, franchise belts, ceremonial titles, lineal recognition, interim belts, and independent honors all coexist in a complex web of triumph and dispute. Each belt tells a story of skill, negotiation, and legacy, proving that in this sport, glory is never simple, and champions are measured not just by what they win in the ring, but how their titles live on in history. Boxing belts can be confusing, controversial, and legendary all at once. But one thing is clear: champions leave a mark on history. If you want more stories like this, full breakdowns, rare insights, and deep dives into boxing legends, subscribe now, ring the bell, and join the journey into the world of boxing's true champions.